Happy Monday to everyone. Hope everyone's having a fantastic start to the week. Just doing a quick mic check. Coming in okay. All right. Getting the all clear. So my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. It is Monday, March 29th, 2021. Let's go ahead and get started. Make sure my camera is pretty centered here. Okay. All right, so week that was. We're going to start off on the SPY. We're looking at the weekly chart. We've got just some simple 20, 50, 200 moving averages. And overall, we closed the week relatively strong. Week was looking a little choppy into the Thursday session. Not a lot of activity on the weekly. We were actually forming more of a doji style candle. But we had a pretty significant rally into the close on Friday. And that led to essentially a breakout of a retracement. We obviously closed the week relatively strong. And this is our highest close on the weekly for the SPY ever. This is our all-time high weekly close. We've had weekly price prints higher than this, but overall this is our strongest close on the weekly. So what occurred on Friday acted as sort of a bullish breakout. We had decent volume on that breakout. So overall structure looking relatively bullish. We saw that the week before, or the days leading into that session, were sort of up and down. We had price action hitting this trend line. We pulled into the 50 moving average. They defended it on Thursday, which brought us essentially to where we opened on Monday. So the SPY wasn't really going anywhere. And then we had this breakout. So it seems as if there was a reactionary close on Friday. Whether or not it was a little bit of repositioning, maybe some short covering, a little bit of rolling, hard to say. But overall, based on price and based on volume, we're going to take this as a sort of bullish breakout until proven otherwise. And digging into a little bit shorter time frame, 4 hour looking relatively healthy. We've got the 20 starting to curl back up. If it can basically cross the 50, we'll have our moving averages in sync. And then we have this downtrend line pullback from the previous all-time high. We found support at our upper trend channel support area. So the lower range of that channel acted as support, even though we did have a pretty violent session to the downside on, I believe that was Thursday. So bulls defended the channel, and then they broke it out on Friday. So we'll kind of see now, are they going to start stair-stepping this higher and higher, potentially leading us all the way back to the upper channel, which acts as a general area of resistance. Excuse me. And there is this odd print candle. I'm trying to remove it so it doesn't skew anything. Okay. So, an odd print candle there, but just removing it so it doesn't skew the chart. On this perspective, so I'm on the, I'm actually going to go to the 30-day 1 hour. Given that it's Monday, I want to see where value sits based on the past 30 days of price action. And what we're seeing is a very slow creep of value to the upside. And what this can be interpreted as is market participants are starting to find more and more balance at higher and higher prices. So we've always kept this 390 in mind. The market likes to sort of gravitate towards value, especially through periods of consolidation. And if you draw a straight line through 390, you'll see that the market does react at 390 pretty well. We've had some significant inflection highs, some areas of very tight consolidation on the intraday charts, and just an overall interest in this price. Now that the market's moving higher, we're going to see if they can also move value higher. And what that would mean is instead of having to come back to value at 390, maybe they can start placing value at higher prices and therefore continue to carry this market forward on its bullish uptrend. So obviously we'll want to see that across the board, the SPY being a relatively diverse ETF, and we'll want to see that across other indices, most notably the Qs. So with our Qs, as we're switching back over to the weekly, as we're looking at our 20/5200, we see that the Qs, while having a Friday push, did not close nearly as strong as the SPY. I would say that both from the perspective of the weekly in general and also the Friday candle, or just the Friday push into the close, the overall look of this is relatively indecisive. We have basically a range that formed in the weekly, which set up a doji structure inside of this in this chart. Now, it is notable that the weekly closed higher than the past weekly candle. We had a slightly higher close from the week before. And it is notable that they were able to defend our 310 range. So we're keeping these very simple and very notable price levels in mind. As long as they can stay within that range, things are consolidating, things are healthy in general, and we're going to see if there's any reason to target higher prices from support or to even step in front of upside momentum and short at resistance, because so far the Qs are trapped. They're in a range. We're looking for reasons to choose directionality over, low to high, high to low, sort of different trading mentality inside of this index. And when I go to the daily, all I see is this range. We're still very much trapped here. I think even from a very bullish perspective, if I were to sort of draw a downtrend line from the recent highs, you'll see that in terms of the candles we're forming, we're not really clearing any sort of downtrend yet. There is definitely the potential for that breakout given what we saw on Friday in the SPY, but overall, we're still kind of trapped in this downtrend. We could easily see this push higher and then fade back down to our support level. So whether or not this market needs to tighten a little bit more, whether or not this is the signal of something a little bit bigger in the days to come, that has not really proven itself yet. If we go down to the 4-hour, we'll kind of see this even more clearly. If I just pull this out, we'll just take this. This is almost like a double top on the 4-hour. We'll pull this down to the closest inflection point, and you'll see that, yes, it was a strong close on Friday, but overall price really hasn't done much here. We're definitely back and forth. We're definitely seeing lower and lower ranges on the daily. So this is gearing up for something big. We just don't know what direction it is yet. And obviously there is a lean to the bullish side based on what the SPY has done. $30-day 1-hour, where does value sit? Value still sits below us, 311.75 based on the past 30 days. What this means is if we're going to be bullish in this perspective, we obviously want to break through some of these price shelves that we have, these volume shelves above us. Looks like about 316.50, which was a recent value zone. We definitely want to clear that. And what that would do is it would also break through this downtrend line. So from the perspective of a pattern, I would say that this is definitely a interesting structure where we continue to hold 310. We're looking to potentially break out of a downtrend. And with the value perspective, we could have a target of the VA high, 322.65, or even a more aggressive target of about 325, which was these previous inflection highs. So Qs are gearing up for something. We just don't know what it is yet. And when we go to our IWM, which is going to be our Russell, a lot of lines on this one. Let me see if I can clear this one up a little bit. I'll take off some of these higher lines. And I'll leave that one on for now. So the Russell put in a pretty significant selling candle over the past week, which was defended at the recent lows. I would say this is fairly common in terms of this market did make a new all-time high. So a 100% retracement to the recent low means that sellers are typically exhausted at this point. It is, I would say, a more tradable event if you see a really strong, let's say, equity put in a new all-time high or even a new relative high, and then you get that 100% pullback to a relative low. Typically that'll form nice double bottoms. You'll get at least a recovery bounce off of that. Doesn't mean it'll make a new all-time high, but it's very difficult for shorts to just clear that relative low after coming from the relative high. So it's just a typical trading pattern that I think you'll see in many markets. We saw that behavior on Thursday of last week with most of the momentum on the Thursday candle. That was the defense of the relative low. And then now we're seeing basically price sitting right at this downtrend. You know, we're sitting below the 50, we're sitting below the 20 as well, the moving averages. But there is potential for that breakout to occur. Now, the reason I kept this downtrend line is price is still respecting these levels in terms of having some reaction just because we had such a significant pullback. We made a new all-time high, and then we came all the way back down to back test the low that was made. So when that happens, I do like to keep some older structure in place just because price tends to respect it, given that we're back at levels that were respected before we made the new all-time high. So general downtrend area, we can see price definitely showing some respect to this area, multiple tests and inflections. And as we came down, we saw this reject here, you know, roughly pull down to the recent lows, and then now we're sitting right at it. From the pattern perspective, you always want to kind of see, are they at least attempting to break out? And usually, you know, you want to see sort of the cup and handle. You want to see maybe the head and shoulder structure. You want to see a very clear area that they want to break out from and go higher. And obviously, if they reject, we would target the recent low around 210. So overall structure here looking ready to break out. We'll definitely want to see if they can make a strong push. And then we'd obviously want to be a little conservative with our targets because we are in an area that price has had some history in before. It's not like we're at all-time highs. So there are some resistance zones we have to get through. And therefore, we want to be a little conservative, probably sort of a doubling of the range, 210 to 220. The first target may be about 230 on a bullish breakout. And let's see where value sits. Value sitting pretty much right above us, around 220.83 based on the past 30 days. You know, very similar to the Qs, I would say that we're still very close to where the market deems the most balance sits. This is where the market deems price to be relatively fair. So we want to see a move away from these areas for some sort of trend to form. And in the meantime, we want to play support and resistance zones as if they're going to be respected based on the fact that value is sitting in between. So we have a little bit of range structure here. It's maybe not as clear as the Qs, but overall price is tending to move away from value, come back, move away from value to the upside, come back. And we're not really seeing just that higher high, higher low structure that we are used to seeing in these index products. There's a little bit more range trading going on. And that's obviously countered slightly by the SPY, which I believe is probably the strongest at this point. Another product that we don't really look at as often, I'll just bring it up because it is making very strong highs, is the Dow. I don't bring this one up as often just because it's not often used in terms of what I use to trade. It's also a little bit harder to interpret based on how it's calculated. But overall, the Dow has been one of the leading performing indexes over the past, call it couple of weeks, couple months. We've seen some pretty strong pushes in the Dow, and the Dow is pretty much right at all-time highs. This structure is more what we're familiar with, where we're making these lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. So definitely the trend structure existing in the Dow. And that's mostly facilitated by some of these stronger sectors that we've been speaking to, things like industrials and things like staples, consumer staples. So with that said, that goes through all of our indices. Some things to note. We were looking at things like the dollar. The dollar is at an area of resistance, the 200 on the daily chart. We've made a pretty significant push off these lows, and this is in the context of an overall downtrend on the dollar. So we hit an area of support, we inflected off of that. Now we're seeing if the dollar is going to simply pull back from here and continue its weekly, monthly downtrend. If that happens, then obviously equities have a very bullish thesis to them. Equities like to essentially rally and be marked up on a weak dollar. If this does not happen and we see sort of a short squeeze / breakout of the dollar, which we are at a point to threaten that potentially happening, then some of our bullish theses on equities, on commodities might start to fall apart, because on a stronger dollar, it'll be much harder to find that upward momentum in prices that are heavily influenced by a weak dollar. So overall, we're keeping an eye on this. The dollar did have a strong push over the past week, and most notably, the equity market closed relatively strong on Friday, whereas the dollar market did not pull back that heavily. So is this correlated to the equity market and the price changes that we're seeing? If it is, we want to keep an eye on it. If not, then we just want to be aware whether or not that correlation ever comes into play. The strength here, maybe a little bit of fear in certain areas, but so far the market is still making close to all-time highs while the dollar is rallying from relative lows. The VIX market, or the volatility market. Excuse me. Volatility market, we're seeing it up slightly this morning. That can be seen on sort of a 5-minute. I think overall here, the thesis remains the same. I would use this as sort of a potential for hedging opportunities as we start to fill this gap That was made before the COVID crash. Put that right there. We're right at this sort of like gap fill and relative low on this channel structure that we have. So if you're, worried about the potential for volatility to increase, this could be the potential, an area of interest for you to gain a hedge relatively cheap. And you would obviously target some of these highs in case the market were to have some sort of more black swan type event or just a significant pullback. And that would obviously be garnered by what we might have seen over the past week, which I'll get to next. Definitely some notable price action across the board. For those trading on Friday, I think either to your frustration or maybe to your benefit, we saw quite a few stocks put in some significant ranges. And these were ranges both to the downside and then back to the upside near the close. I'll basically say, if you're interested into why this is happening, there is some clarity that's being put out in the news media at this point. There may have been some liquidation going on for certain firms, and that liquidation caused basically a fire sale type selling, where pretty much you had to get out kind of thing for these firms. These moves are not normal. This is definitely a crash from the perspective of the technical charts, but it is something that we noted. This was a risk to certain sectors because of how extended these stocks were. We didn't necessarily know why. We didn't necessarily understand if it was going to continue for weeks or months. We just knew that just like any other parabolic move, there will come a point where a pullback is going to be harsher than most expect. And this just so happened to have a little bit of a catalyst behind it with Viacom, specifically, I believe, having an offering. There's quite a few other stocks that made similar moves. There are stocks like TME, which pulled back heavily, maybe not so much parabolic, but definitely extended. There were stocks like Discovery Channel, pulling back heavily, similar to Viacom. I would say probably a little bit more violently, given that this one actually pulled back, I believe, almost like 65% from its highs, while Viacom's pretty close, actually, from 100 to 40. And then even stocks like Baidu, the narrative across some of these China ADR-based stocks is that there's the potential for some of these to be delisted based on their ability to conform to certain regulations set up by the SEC. That fear maybe led to some of the initial selling earlier in the week, but there was also this overall theme of liquidation going on, and some of these stocks were affected by that. Baidu, I would say, probably making the most notable recovery, given that over the course of Friday, we saw a huge selling event, bringing it way down into the 175 range, and then a full recovery back to the high of that morning. So as day traders, this is obviously some opportunity that we can look to take advantage of. As swing traders, I think we also want to see if there's some opportunity, maybe both as bounce plays. We also maybe want to look into selling option premium. If you're familiar with options and you understand the risk and reward perspective of being an income-based premium seller or just a general risk or reward-based premium seller, there's definitely some heightened volatility in all of these names. I would say Baidu and Viacom are some of the better ones, given that their option chains are a little bit more liquid and they have weeklies versus Disca and TME. But there's definitely some opportunity out there. And with that opportunity, we did have the risk which I just wanted to bring up that risk. Even though stocks like Facebook and Google have been holding up fairly well, with Facebook having a very significant breakout in the past 2 weeks, the overall communications sector was a little bit at risk because of stocks like Viacom. Viacom doesn't necessarily hold a ton of weight in this ETF. It only holds about 2%. But if a stock loses 60% of its market cap in 3 days, then obviously that's going to put a drag on this ETF, even if it is a small percentage holding. So what I'm looking to see these next couple of days is, did that affect stocks like Facebook and Google and give us basically a small all sector sort of selling pullback to where we could maybe get into this bullish trend with a much better price point. And we did see some of that with Facebook, I would say, recovering into the close. But after this strong push, we got a nice pullback to potentially some trend line support, and ultimately looking maybe to target that all-time high and even higher. I would say the same thing with Google. Hasn't really pulled back much, but also hasn't really lost much either. So potential for a breakout here, maybe targeting this 2125 resistance zone, and then ultimately all-time highs. So with that said, other sectors overall looking really, really good. Consumer staples on a massive, massive bullish breakout at this point. Perspective from the max chart, all-time highs. I'm gonna just pull this up on a weekly. Technology still a little bit choppy, but definitely holding our 20 moving average. Definitely want to see the Qs come on board for that. Financials still basically at all-time highs. Nice push off of the lows, and on the daily, just a sort of a bear trap, coming back to break through the 20, and we'll see if they can get to all-time highs. Home builders, very, very strong, and this is on the back of stocks like Home Depot, which have just been pretty much straight up since like 2 weeks ago, and even stocks like Lowe's, coming off the 200 and not really seeing much of a pullback. So some very strong sectors out there. We'll see if this continues, or if this is another risk that we want to assess. But overall, the structure here is very, very bullish, and we'd be looking for pullbacks to maybe get into that trend. Yeah, and overall, there's a little bit of chop out there, I'd say, in just consumer discretionaries. Tesla and Amazon are kind of the main ones to be looking at here. They're going to be holding about, I would say, about 35% of the weight here. But you also have stocks like HD, which are part of discretionaries and home builders. So they're putting in some work to the bullish side, whereas Amazon and Tesla really haven't done too much. I would say Amazon's pretty flat overall in this range. And then Tesla's trying to make sort of a choice as to go higher or lower off of this 600 point. Actually, a pretty notable bounce on Friday from 600. So we want to see if that 600 becomes a new higher low, and then maybe a sort of technical breakout on a downtrend. And energy, similar to the financials, definitely putting in a deeper pullback than ultimately expected, basically 100% retracement. So, similar to the IWM, the shorts are going to have trouble getting through this support area, as they did pull back heavily. But from the long perspective, you can't really target the all-time high on 100% retracement. You definitely want to look to maybe more conservative targets, and also be, maybe a little bit wider in your stop loss zone because of how deep this market had to pull back. Obviously, with some other catalysts out there, things like the Suez Canal may affect some of the commodity markets in the short term. And then we even saw a little bit of news about some oil refinery issues over the weekend. So we'll see if that comes to fruition this week. So with that said, I'm butting up against my time frame here. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and shift it over to Carlos and Norm with the pre-market prep. We'll look at some opportunities intraday and also throughout the week. Bitcoin's making a big play over the weekend, so I think that's going to be another thing to look at. And we'll see how this all comes to fruition, whether or not the SPY can make a new all-time high, the Qs can come online, and the IWM can maybe make a choice as to whether or not it wants to hold that relative low. So with that said, I'm Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. Take it away, Carlos and Norm, and have a great Monday.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the pre-market prep. I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. Good morning, Norm. How are you doing today?
Hey, good morning, buddy. I hope you had a great weekend. I'm doing all right. And before we get going, let's everybody on YouTube, if you would give Jared a big thumbs up for once again another hit those likes for Jared. Another great job waking up early, get us started.
Yes, absolutely. Doing an amazing job with engineering the markets. And again, just the information we're getting is just incredible. So, guys, welcome to another week of trading. Hopefully, everyone had an amazing weekend, a restful weekend with the family and friends. Let's get to it this morning. Let's start with our gappers list today. Gapping up today, we have quite a few on both sides of the field. Let's go over a few here that are in the green this morning. HGEN 42 million shares.
Let's jump in real quick into a little bit of the craziness because Jared, he does a great job of the technicals and he touches in the time he has on some of the undercurrents of what's going on. We had some craziness last week. Jared, Jared discussed SPY finishing strong. The Qs not quite as strong last week. IWM, the Russell, a little bit weak. But some of the moves that we saw, and I mentioned it when we were watching it, I expect to see low floats go up or down, 60, 70% of their entire valuation in 2 or 3 days. Not surprising. Plug Power, not surprising. Tesla, not that big of a drop, but still, it has big moves in it. A lot of these other stocks, it would not surprise me to see them just fall off the face of the earth. Viacom, CBS,
God, yeah. Yes.
No. I mentioned that when we were in here, when in the room on Friday, or Thursday or Friday, that just some wild moves in these that one would never expect. I mean, that's a big, established, well-known company. For it to fall that much was nuts. And now we have, I knew it was something strange. And now we know that there was a very, very, very leveraged, at least the original catalyst of this, or the secondary part, was this massive family office, which is like a hedge fund, but you're only trading for a small group of family and or friends. Had a massive position in some of these companies, TME, Viacom, Baidu, and so on and so forth, that we saw some of these big drops in, and it was triggered by Viacom offering that upsized secondary at $85, which caused a pullback, and then margin calls and forced liquidation that now banks are getting hit by. So let's see how far this goes. Hopefully it's nothing too terrible, but it was just absolutely insane. So that having been said, we've got no economic data coming out today. And just a reminder, short week. This is Good Friday coming up, so the markets are closed on Friday. We'll only be having this party Monday through Thursday this week.
That is correct. And Norm, couldn't agree with you more with this, the madness. And Viacom, guys, I mean, wow. Just look at the chart. It's insane. As you mentioned, looking forward to see what's going to happen there. All right, guys.
I think there, and guys in the chat are saying there's rumors of some other liquidations. And I mean, something like this, something that's flown as high as this, and has dropped as much, is definitely going to cause issues in margin calls.
Oh, yes.
It's just one wave, and it's setting off other things along the way. So there will be repercussions. I'm sure there will be more liquidation, more margin calls. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. I mean, even if you survived Thursday, this was Thursday, right? And I expect this to just chop around here. I did not expect another leg down like it did right here. Now, we all seen this before, right? You get a big drop, the next couple of days you chop around, especially a big company like this. This on Friday, this really caught a lot of people off guard. So if you survive this, it's be a little tough to survive another $25 drop there. So it's getting just crazy. All right, guys, let's get to it. What we have on our gapping up list this morning, HGEN, and this one is up 58% this morning, 3.6. Not a low flow stock, sitting at 42 million. Now, if you know how we like our daily charts, this does not look great. You can see how every candle is overlapping the previous candle. So this is not a great daily chart, but this is a pretty nice pop. Not the best pre-market action. We've seen better, but the volume is definitely there today. So we'll keep an eye on it.
So they've got a catalyst in that a COVID treatment, a COVID therapy in trials had positive information. I will also note relatively high short float at 26% on that.
Yeah, I see it here marked in red as well. So thank you for that. So yeah, guys, let's be careful with this one, but definitely in play today. We'll keep it on here for now. Next, we have a low flow, 8.9 million. Right now, pre-market action is not looking good. The volume is not great, and their daily is also very bad, guys. Look at the choppiness on their daily and very poor volume. I don't think any of these days has more than 1 million shares traded.
Yeah, this is an Australian biotech out of, like I said, it's a foreign biotech out of Australia. They had some news on a drug being licensed in China, but given the Australia and biotech factor, I'd run from this one.
Yeah, nothing's looking good here. Not even the technicals right now are looking great, so we'll skip on this one. CAN, guys, this one's been fun. We had a lot of fun with this one a couple of weeks ago. Today, they are up 14%, 1 million shares traded. I do like their pre-market action. I love their daily here. This is my favorite Bitcoin type play to trade. You also have, looks like Bitcoin might be up a little bit after getting slammed. Actually, you know what? Mara didn't get as slammed as CAN did. CAN definitely got the short end of the stick here.
Well, and CAN also had earnings that have come out early this morning.
Okay.
Or no, I take that back. That was a different one. I don't know what I'm seeing.
Was it Mara?
I
Maybe?
apologize. My notes got messed up, but they had
Okay.
something come out this morning.
Gotcha. So there's definitely a lot more volume there, a lot more activity. I definitely like this one. I love their daily too. Look how nice this thing has been trading here. Getting a little bit of a bounce over at 16, definitely on deck this morning. DLPN, guys, again, here we're talking about some of the madness. This stuff is up 12%. Again, everything else has been trading so clean. I don't want to spend time on this stuff, really. This one is up 12.2, 646,000 shares traded. If you've been trading this one, again, very, very risky stock. Be very mindful. One that we have not seen before, at least I haven't noticed it, OCU P. This one's also low flow stock at 9.9. Horrible pre-market action, guys. Not a great daily. The volume is not there, so let's not waste no time on it. Mogo, this has been on our list quite a bit. I haven't really kept a close eye on it to see how it actually trades in the intraday. At the moment, they're up 9.7, 767,000. Norm, have you had any eyes on this in the last couple of days? It's been
I have not, and the headline that I'm reading on it this morning terrifies me. They are the first, apparently, to offer a Bitcoin cashback mortgage.
Wow.
Seems like a really bad idea.
Yeah, that's scary stuff, man. Yeah, so they are up this morning 10%, guys. Again, I don't like their daily overall, and that news is that catalyst is strange. But
I did not dig into the details. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's I think it's a minimal amount, so it's not too risky. But nevertheless,
yeah,
this reminds me of 2007, 2008.
Yes, I hear you 100%. Guys, I'm going to skip on this one. Again, even with that news, just the daily and the pre-market are not great right now. So we'll not look at that one. Mara, guys, is another Bitcoin type play you can look at. Again, this is up 7.5 after being hammered just a little bit. Not as much as CAN. I like that one a little more. If you do like Mara, you can watch this one. I'll put it as a possible. But again, CAN is the one I like this morning. FT this morning, not much going on. They're up 8.5, but their volume is not great. Only 182,000. I do like, again, their daily's not great, especially between February and March. This is horrible daily action. Doesn't get any better after that. But this area here at 650, that could be interesting. If we can break out of that with some good volume there, that could be nice. Again, we'll have to just wait and see how that plays out. But for the most part, I don't like anything else on it, so I'm going to skip it. All right, I think I'm going to stop here. Just going to scroll down, see if we have any good ones that we've been tracking lately. BA, it's been on our radar quite a bit. Their daily looks real nice, guys. Look at the beautiful drop and possibly.
They announced a massive order out of Southwest Airline for 737 Maxes this morning.
Very nice. Yeah, gonna keep this one on here, guys. A BA, nice little pop this morning. And again, they trade so well in the intraday. So up 2.2, 363. Definitely on deck this morning. All right, let's see what's gapping down. Wafu is down 17.2. What's going on here? Nope, what's that happening? Let's get rid of this. Let's try that again. Just click one. There we go. Wafu. All right, here we go. So Wafu, this was insane on Friday, if you guys remember. Today they are down 17.5, just giving a lot of it back this morning. Again, just be careful with this one, guys. Very, very a low flow stock at 1.8. I don't even like what it's doing right now to even add as a low flow stock, so I'm not going to put that on there. So just be very careful with that one if you do decide to put that one on your list. CLDX, this one is dropping. I do not like the daily. Look how choppy this is. Look how low the volume is. We don't like these type of stocks, and I think we've seen this one before in the past. Hit our gappers list. I don't think I watched it. Again, just this volume is not going to do it. Even when it gaps down big, like you see down here, it's a nice big gap down after a nice red day. The volume is still very light. For the entire day was only 500,000. That's not going to cut it for us. So we'll skip on that. ATNX, this one here, guys, is down with 11.6, 106. Again, volume also very light. This is another one of these NTF, or whatever the thing is. NTNS. Am I getting that right?
NFT.
I know I'm close.
NFT. Well, there's so much weirdness going on that hang on. I had notes on this.
Yeah.
I lost it. Hang on. Let me check here. No, it's a biotech. I don't see anything fresh as of this morning, but they had a little bit of news last week. So 3.5 million share biotech. It's going to move.
Yeah, it sure is, guys. Again, just you got to pick if this is your type of niche trading. It is not for me for sure. It's fun to watch. We'll be talking about it in the chat room, I'm sure, but I won't be taking this seriously into my my watch list. Here's MS this morning. They are down 5%. What is this, Morgan Stanley or something else?
Yes.
This is Morgan Stanley. Oh, they're down quite a
Sure
bit
is.
this morning.
Yeah, well, it's part of the whole sell-off that with the more market margin calls and all that stuff we were talking about earlier. They've got some of these banks that were dealing with this hedge fund / family office have been putting out statements saying that they're going to get hit pretty hard. Goldman is a U.S. one. They said it won't be too bad for them, but a couple of European banks are going to have some severe write-downs because of it. I think Morgan Stanley is involved as well.
Yeah, I think they're heavily in here. I'm going to add as a possible, guys. Everything looks good in Morgan Stanley today for the way they usually trade. But again, these banking stocks, they're not great when it comes to intraday trading. We talked about that before, especially last week, as banks have become pretty active, right? And Jai's been covering the banks a little bit in the engineering the markets every morning. I'm only going to add it here as a possible for now. Let's see where this develops. Their pre-market does look great, down 5%, 230. Let's see if that can translate into the market open with some good action. HIG, this one down 4.6. Horrible daily here. Again, just I don't know what to think of this. Let's put it as a possible. Let's see if anything comes out of it. Viacom. Yeah, I'm gonna watch this. I'm definitely going to watch this today. It is 7.6 million shares right now. It is down 4%. This was great on Thursday. We had this beautiful breakout. Many of us took this short, myself included. And man, this was nice. So I did not touch this on Friday. I didn't think it was going to sell off like this, but look at this on Friday. Great pre-market action, great volume, definitely in play, as Norm mentioned, with the news and everything going on. VUZI, not good. We'll skip on this one. Very choppy at the moment. GSX, this one also has some volume, a little bit choppier on the pre-market action right now. Their daily also very brutal, guys. Not a great daily. I'm going to keep this one off. Here's Neo.
Part of the same situation I've described all morning. Okay.
Yeah. Neo, what do we have going on with Neo? They are 1.3 million shares traded. I like their daily on Neo. Look at this drop here, coming back to some levels of support. This could be interesting either way it goes. If it finds support here and it pushes up to 40, or if we're dropping back down to 32. So either way, I think Neo has got some potential here. We'll put it as a possible. Let me stop here. Norm, what do you like on your end this morning?
I'm still looking, brother.
Okay, excellent. Let's take a look over at the room. We will start with, let's scroll up a little bit here. Let me make sure we take this off. Okay, here's the chat. Okay, perfect. Let's start with a TME. TME, what do we have? Oh, yes, this is another one of those crazy stocks. Again, if this is your type of deal, you could definitely put it on your list. This one is definitely active, though. Out of all of them, I think this one looks the best this morning, TME. The other one next to this was VIPS, right? VIPS was involved in this.
Yeah, those are all still involved in the same same situation.
TME definitely looks better pre-market action-wise. We'll throw them both down here, guys. Again, if you can trade this, there's nothing wrong here. Just be very careful and practice amazing risk management. And if you're starting out, that risk management is not where you want it to be yet. Maybe you want to skip those. Space up 3.1 this morning, 232,000. I do like their daily here. Volume could be a lot better. I do like their pop. We'll keep an eye on it. Their daily does look very good there. Let's count down Baidu. Yeah, Baidu was incredible last week. All last week. Got a couple of days in that traded very well. I do like this one on the daily Thor as well. Nice drop here. A possible one in play today for sure. Again, this has been really nice to play. So let's add Baidu here to our list. 1.7, pretty much flat right now. Was down early this morning. Trying to stay in the green so far. Space, we looked at GSX. We looked at that one. Again, I don't, these type of stocks don't trade all that well. I do have Morgan Stanley here on my list. Yeah, I'm not going to add any more. If you can add that one if you prefer to have that one on your list. Here's IQ. We haven't seen this one in some time. IQ, and weirdly that we haven't, because look at this drop we're getting here. It's just so many other stocks have been say it again.
Same deal.
Yeah, same deal.
Same story on this. It just, I mean, think of what a massive, that guy waking up this morning. Oh,
yeah. No, and again, you had such a nice run. You survived this. You can survive this, but this and this, that's back to back. It's not fun. So IQ, guys, not a big fan of IQ. It can be choppy at times, but again, these are different times nowadays. So I'm gonna add this one on here. IQ is on the list. Setting on down, Baidu is interesting. I agree. I love the daily on Baidu, just as Thor mentioned. Thor mentioned DLPN. Let's take a look at that. Oh yeah, we looked at this earlier. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything fun. This is one of these other stocks that's just been again going insane. But as far as volume right now, not great. It is up 8.8. It could get better, guys. Keep an eye on it if this is the type of stuff that you like to trade. Again, I'm not a big fan of these for me personally. All right, let's stop here. Let's take a look over in our YouTube chat, starting with BA. We at BA, we do have Sue. So Sue Ann gave us BA. That's on deck already. SNES. I think this one is one that doesn't trade very well. And right now you don't have no volume anyways. It did have a crazy day a couple of days ago here, but for the most part, and even when it does get the volume, we've seen this one in our list before. It's not a great intraday trading stock. Heading on down, what do we have? Envis. Envis comes up a lot. Today they're down 1%, not a whole lot of volume. Their daily's not bad. They're getting a nice little bounce here. We're sitting at an area of support, got a moving average here on the daily as well. So it could be interesting, but their pre-market action is just too light on the volume for what I want to see. We're looking for things that are a little bit explosive. TME, we looked at already, guys. Yeah, this is very, very active. I actually do like this pre-market action better than VIPS this morning. So you could definitely keep that one on deck there if you like that one. Let's take a look at Apple. What do we have on Apple this morning? And wow, look at the daily on Apple. It's just wow, just been chopping here. You got a couple of good days in here, but for the most part, it's just a mess. This could be a good tech play. We just got to see how this week is going to open up. Jared went through a lot of stuff that was interesting as far as the overall market and this week. So, and all the madness that happened last week. So Apple could be a good one to have on deck if we're going to push up higher here this morning. We saw a little bit of that Friday. If you guys remember the SPY in the overall market towards the end Friday, that power hour, you got a real nice push there. So let's see if that's the indication of what's going to continue this week. Twitter, yeah, so Twitter was up nice. Twitter is up 2.1 this morning. Not great volume though. The volume is just not there for Twitter. So for that reason, I'm not going to add it. If it does get better volume above that 700,000, 800,000, we can definitely take a look at it. Or it could be a good one for it until it hits our scanners later in the day. So Apple is good. Netflix, they have a catalyst. What's their catalyst? Netflix. Yeah, no volume on Netflix though. So not much going on there right now. Facebook. Yeah, these are not in play. Again, it's just that there's no volume at the moment on these stocks. Let's scroll down here. Disca. What's going on there? Again, this is another one that we've talked about as well. It falls into that category that Norm was talking about also. So yeah, you can watch this one. I got a few on there already that I'm watching. Viacom being the one that I like the most, which we traded on Thursday. That was a lot of fun. Let's look at CCL. What do we have here? We'll do a few more here. So CCL at the moment, they're pretty much flat. I don't think they're in play right now. So I think the travel sector is pretty quiet, just kind of waiting around to see what's going to happen here. All right, guys, we are going to stop here. We're going to go over to announcements, and then we have Dr. Katz coming on after our community announcement. So let's get this set up here. Let's make sure I give you the right first of the screen. Give me 1 second, Norm. I'm going to just push that back to the start.
I think you got an old version here too.
Oh, I do. All right, give me 2 seconds. Like we can change that pretty quick here.
So as you get that loaded, I'll do the weekly rundown because that's going to be the same. Brian, swing trade discussion Monday afternoons 2:30. With the pandemic and him not being out quite as much, he actually is doing some of those swing trade discussions more often. So check that out in the afternoons. And then Monday night, so you've got onboarding class with Carlos live, 8 p.m. Eastern, immediately followed by Kyle's technology class. That is open for intro members too. So if you're just doing the 7-day trial, you can catch that class and see how to get your foot in the door. On Tuesdays, Thursdays, noon, we've got trade reviews with Eamon. Tuesdays, 8 p.m., we've got success webinars. Wednesday, we've got psychology webinars at 8, and then group mentorship, 8 p.m. with Thor. On Thursday, don't forget we simulcast the room for the Closing Bell Show, 3:30 to 4:15 p.m. Eastern on YouTube as well. Yes, here we go. Mike, it is the week of Mike, as you will see between this and the next slide. He's going to be talking about transitioning from sim to live, or if you're having some issues going back from live to sim, that'll be tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then next week, we're going to have Luke Jacoby from Benzinga talking about what news stories matter and what doesn't, and so on and so forth. So I'm looking forward to that guest speaker. It's especially useful with the squawk in the room, since we have the Benzinga live squawk that is piped into the room. Some of those news stories are absolutely meaningless, and obviously some of them cause massive moves in certain stocks. All right. Week of Mike on Wednesday. You've got him at 8 p.m. Defining yourself as a trader. His module 1 and trying to determine, what style and strategies of trading fit with your personality, so forth. And I'm sorry, guys, I didn't see next week's. So once I get it, I'll update that and show you what we've got next week as well. All right. If you want to participate in the member trade of the day, trade of the week, take a screenshot of your best trade of the day. It should have entries and exits, of course, so we can see the trade, then comment on it to show, describe your strategy and why you took the trade, why you partialed where you did, so on and so forth. Post it on Twitter, tagging at Bearable Traders, at Mike B_BBT, and at Norm BBT. This is also a really good point here to also mention, since we're talking about Twitter handles. Be very careful. Andrew's got one Twitter handle. It's at Bearable Traders. There are imposters out there try to scam people, so watch out, please. We try to report them. If you ever see one, please report it. But sometimes it takes a while for Twitter to take those down. Also use hashtags BBT Family, Day Trading, and Stock Market. We will announce the winner for each day in the closing bell show and on Twitter. And then the team will vote on those trades of the day for the trade of the week, which will be announced on Monday. If you're looking to try out the room and you haven't been in the room and you'd like to try it out, use the promo code PREMARKET24 for the intro membership. That'll get you a discount on the trial. That is 7 calendar days, 5 trading days. Also includes those Monday night onboarding and technology classes. Dr. Katz, how are you, sir?
Good morning, Norm. Good morning to everybody out there. How are you today?
Doing great. Hopefully you had a great weekend. It is spring. It is nice weather. Of course, a few thunderstorms here and there and tornadoes that come with it, especially down here. But you were going to talk. We're going to break up the series we're doing for a week here, and which is on the book about knowing what you don't know. And we are going to discuss spring and I guess optimism that comes with the winding down of a global pandemic, it seems, and getting out of the house after freezing cold weather for however many months you've had to deal with it. So take it away, sir.
Yeah, well, thanks, Norm. Yeah, for today's Mindful Monday, there was a very good article last week by A.C. Shilton entitled, "It's Okay to Feel Joy Right Now." And I thought there were a number of points that the author made that would be very useful to kind of bring up to everybody, since we are all going through this aspect of our lives. And I think how we kind of deal with it emotionally and psychologically is very important, because it affects people's, not only their overall life, but their trading. Spring weather, as Norm said, is here. And after a long year of anxiety and stress, many are kind of rediscovering what optimism feels like a bit. People are getting vaccinated. Spring season is often a time of optimism. It gets lighter, it gets warmer. Those are helpful mood boosters for everybody. There are a lot of religious holidays, from Easter to Passover to Holy. But if you're really expecting your happiness to kind of skyrocket the moment, we finish off the pandemic once and for all, I think it's important, as the author brings up, to kind of think again. There are a lot of things, yes, that we can look forward to. People getting together with, family, parents, grandparents, friends, in ways that we had not been able to before. But euphoria tends to be fleeting. And this is often a result of, if you want to blame something, jokingly somewhat, there is an aspect of a thing called hedonic adaptation, which is basically when good or bad things happen, we feel an initial surge or a dip in our overall happiness levels. But hedonic adaptation means that over time, we really kind of just settle back into wherever we were happiness wise before that good or bad event happened. And even if, listen, there are good things happening in people's lives, like people getting a dream job or getting married, and even if that's continuing, to maintain these positive feelings, you're going to need to work on it a bit. And that's basically just through evolution. Our brains are developed biologically for survival, actually not for happiness. So we often prioritize unconsciously negative experiences to be remembered more strongly than positive ones, really as a way for us to kind of anticipate potential threats, in our environment. So ultimately, happiness is really a daily practice more than anything else, which is why, getting a vaccine shot, for instance, may feel good, but it won't bring long-term happiness. But the good thing is that research has shown that there are steps that we all can we all can take part in to bring our long-term happiness into a reality. So just a few things to mention to everybody what people can do. First of all, to start out, it's okay if you're not okay. I think recognizing if people don't feel great, somehow that can ease some of the pressure that's not abnormal, to kind of normalize that, to destigmatize that. Many people are beginning to exhale a bit, but there's still a lot of people in grief who have faced illness or unfortunately death in family and friends. So we have a certain style of what's called defensive pessimism, which is we hold ourselves back from feeling happiness because we don't want to feel disappointed. I think it's very important during this time to savor what's happening and everything. Again, hugging, getting together, the weather, a bit more freedom, to really savor that. I've seen, Norm, you post pictures of you and your kid. More than the pictures themselves, I can feel the joy and happiness of kind of being able to treasure, the kind of changes with a young child and seeing their development and your connection. So, I think we need to marvel as much as you can. The author speaks about the sense of awe makes us feel more generous, makes us feel a little more future being brighter. And I think a key thing here, as we've talked about in the past, is really being grateful and kind. This really leads to happiness. It may not boost a lot, but it's really important. But I think it's important to realize that happiness alone, isn't enough. If you're experiencing feelings of sadness or depression, some of this may dissipate with spring and the world getting better. But just to make sure that if you're not feeling okay, that you reach out and get the kind of assistance, whether it's for family or friends or a mental health professional. Be mindful that just because things are getting better, it's important to reach out and get the help you need. So hopefully these are a few tips that will be useful for people to help kind of maintain and build a sense of joy and happiness in your lives. And hopefully that will have a positive impact on your trading work as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Important things to keep in mind. And as you said, it's tough. I've known people, close people, family struggle with depression and mental health issues and lock it away. So important to encourage people to get help if they need it. So thank you, Dr. Katz. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful week.
You too, Norm. Speak to you soon.
Care. You got it. All right, buddy. On to you with levels.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Katz. Appreciate that every Monday morning. All right, guys, let's get to it. Let's look at our watch list this morning. So a couple of questions, people asking what's wrong with TME. There's actually nothing wrong with TME. TME looks very, very good, guys. I just have it down here because I want to be careful with TME. I have it. It's not a low flow stock, but it is a risky stock for me with the way it moves and what we've seen it done in the past. So I want to be cautious with it. VIPS also falls into this category. I mean, these things can move very aggressively. So I just have them here to be careful. But yeah, TME looks good today, guys. Beautiful pre-market action, definitely on our list this morning. All right, let's look at our list. We have HGEN. I have this one here, and it hasn't gotten any better in the pre-market. I love the pop, but again, that's about it. CAN is very active this morning, 1.2 million shares traded, so that looks good in pre-market action. That's fine. BA is okay. I do like their daily as well here and how great they've been trading. Viacom's pre-market action looks really good. Their daily is a little bit off whack here with the last couple of days, but again, pre-market looks very nice. Baidu also has been pretty good as well, guys, last couple of days. Possible continuation today. Their day looks amazing. And Apple's daily is all over the place, but this will be the tech one that I watched this morning. As far as secondary, we have IQ here. Again, another one you can replace any of these other ones up there as well with. Space is okay. Neo is pretty much flat right now. I do like their volume if it keeps rising like this. Mavericks, another Bitcoin play. If you like this one instead of CAN, you could do that. Morgan Stanley, we know what's going on there with that situation. And HIG, which one is this one? HIG, yeah. I'm not a big fan of what's happening here. I love the drop here. I love just what's happening over here in the daily consolidation. Now this big drop down 4.7. But you know what? That's not trading very well. Still, pre-market action is not looking all that good with the volume it's getting. So one big drop, and then from there we haven't done a whole lot. So also the spread on it right now is not looking attractive at all. So we'll keep it on here. We'll keep it there for now still, and let's see if it gets any better. This one I might drop off. I would like to see what the other moderators have on their list. So we'll keep this one for now. But again, it's just not looking all too great at the moment. High of the pre-market 24.55. Area of resistance, as you can see right here on the daily as well. If we go towards the top here, we got a couple of days up here. We can use this one here, clearly 27.17, great area of resistance, and then another one up here around 36, and then all the way up here at 33.81. So plenty of levels towards the top there above that 24.41, which is your pre-market high. If we go towards the bottom, you do have a level here on the daily, couple of touches here, 21.42. You can see here how many touches we have as far as resistance, and we got a couple of days, so their wicks are all the way up at 23.43. They did come down here and close at this price target 21.42. So a lot of touches there. Definitely want to have that on here. Here their daily's not all that great, but you can clearly see, guys, 19.41, how many touches you have here. Wicks opening, closing, a couple of days consolidation, closing, moving around and closing right on that target 19.41. So you definitely want to have that on there. And then towards the bottom, another great level of support and resistance at 17.35. So we got a couple of things on here. Again, their pre-market, I hope it can get a little bit better. I do like their pop this morning. Let's see if that can continue to rise. They're up 70%, 4.1 million shares traded. Here is CAN. They're high of the pre-market all the way up here at 2080. So we'll throw a level there. Above that, we got another level here. Nice one, 23.86 off the daily. And then I like this level here, guys. Great area of support. Cannot hold on to that for the last week and the week before. 27.69 broke down from there. But that's a great area of support. You can see how many times it tried to stay above that until it fails. So we got a nice one there. There's a big gap, and CAN could move quite a bit. We've seen it do some really great moves here and explosive moves. So right here, I'm going to add this one here, 25.59. It's a minor area. It's not a great level as far as some of these where it has so many touches. But again, 25.59, I think you need to have something in between here, because if we were to get to even 23, right, that's a big gap to get to 27.69. So just in case, we're prepared with some levels there. Now, towards the bottom, you got a great area of support. Your previous day close line is here, the highs and lows from the last two trading days. But if you go back, if you start looking at February and March timeframe, early March, you can see how many touches we have in those two, the highs of those last two trading days, the lows of the last two trading days, and that previous day close line. All amazing areas of support here. So let's see if this thing can hold today towards the top side. Here's BA. BA stuck between the highs and lows of the last two trading days. Their pre-market high a little bit higher, 252.98. So we'll put a level there. That also was a great area of support, now acting as resistance this morning at least. Above that, we do have another one here, a couple of touches at 263.67, and then obviously all the way up here, 278.47. So let's see. Again, BAs, I agree with a lot of you guys in the chat room here. BA has an amazing daily for a possible continuation here if you can get going. They also, as Norm mentioned, have a positive catalyst of some sales for the 737 MAX. To Southwest, so that could be good as well. 51.23 high of the pre-market on Viacom. The low of the pre-market right now sitting at 45.37. So that's good. And then towards the bottom, you have the low from Friday, which was again just insane day, insane couple of days for Viacom here. Towards the bottom, let's go right. Actually, I just randomly placed that there, but that's a good level too, 34.42. I don't think we'll get there, but you can see on the daily, it has a couple of days of nice support happening there. Just want to zoom in here towards the bottom. Yeah, right in here, guys. A good area of support and resistance right on there. 42.94 could be exactly 43, but you can tell here on the daily that's a good level to have, just in case we do decide to lose this 45.37. Guys, this thing could move quite a bit. The spread on we traded this on a Thursday. This was Thursday. Yeah, the spread was pretty bad. So again, looks good right now pre-market, but just be mindful when you're taking a trade before you hit that hotkey button or that button on your montage. Make sure the spread is favorable, right? Because this thing can be up to 30 cents, like I saw on Thursday here. So also number of shares, very careful. This thing can move quite a bit. $1, $2 pop on this or drop is not a hard thing for it to do. So mindful of the number of shares you take. Towards the top, above the 51.23, which is your pre-market high, we do have a great level here of resistance before we broke out at 54.73. Also, if you go back on the daily, a couple of days opening, closing right on there. So you want to have that on your list as well. Here's Baidu, guys. An amazing drop here last week. A nice recovery on Friday. Right now, we're pretty much flat, but their daily does look good for a possible pop to close some of this drop here that we did on last week. So as far as levels towards the top, above the previous day close and the highs from Friday, you do have 227.14. That's a good one there. Then in between here, you really don't have much on this daily. So not a whole lot there. Let's see if we can go back. Good area of support, that 227.14. Great area of resistance on here. Now here on the daily, yeah, this could be a good one right on here, guys. 219.06. Great area support for these 2 days on here. Resistance for about 2 days on here as well. So that could be a good midpoint level to have there in case this thing does decide to run towards the top. Now towards the bottom, you got your low from 2 days ago all the way down here. So you pretty much cover right now, flirting with the previous day close, just going green and red for the most part. Let's see how this thing wants to move at the open. I have Apple here, guys. Again, just stuck between the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. Their daily has not been great, just kind of chopping sideways. But again, we've been holding this 120 level for quite some time. I'm interested to see how we're going to open up today. The market's going to have a lot to do with how Apple trades today. High of the pre-market 122 at the moment. Above that on this not so great daily, we do have an area right on here 123, couple of touches on there with wicks, and also a couple of days opening and closing right on 123.13. So that's a good one to have. Towards the bottom, I'm just going to mark down the low of the pre-market. Again, I will want Apple to push higher. If it comes to the bottom here, you just could get a lot of choppiness into this level that's obviously 119, 120 have been a very strong level of support. The few times we did below it, we come right back above that. So I don't want to play this towards the bottom. I would love to see this shoot up here and start hitting some of these higher levels. That'd be great for Apple this morning. All right, that is all we have. Let's take a look at our moderators lineup, see what we have there. All right, we have quite a few already. Excellent. Let's bring this over, bring our visuals right in here. You guys should be able to see that. Okay, good. Now, starting with Thor. So Thor is watching TME and Baidu. Again, lots of volume on both of these guys. So these are doing very well. Just be careful, guys. Really be careful with the risk management. Disca, Viacom, Neo, CCL, NCLH, and MU on his list. Jared is looking for sell-off for good volume. Baidu, Viacom, some BTC names. I have CAN on my list. I also have Maris, a possible. Any of these guys could look very good. You can watch for that play. Swing trades, he's looking at TK, NAT, and FRO, and STNG. Also, guys, if you're looking for possible swing trades, definitely take a look at Brian's podcast he does every Sunday and Wednesday night in our YouTube channel. He sends those out, and also sign up for his swing trading alerts completely free. You could do that in our website. Dima, she is watching Riot, CAN, Twitter, HGEN. John is looking at Baidu, Billy, BA, and Facebook. Tiffany has TME, Baidu, CAN, and not Bank of America, excuse me, Boeing, BA. Mike is looking at BA, Baidu, and Facebook. You can see pretty similar stocks that we're watching here, guys, that Baidu, BA are in play, Facebook there. Eamon is looking at BNGO, TRY, IBM. Secondary is Facebook, Riot, and Facebook twice. So he likes that one, unless that's another one. Peter, no IPO scheduled for today. And his watch list, TME, Viacom, HGEN, AMD, CAN, and also Apple on his list for Peter this morning. So, all right, guys, I think we have a pretty good list. Say it again.
I just happened to be watching Viacom here, and
yeah?
less than a minute ago, there was a 5.5 million share block trade that went through. So my guess is the margin calls and the liquidations are still ongoing.
That is this is why you need to be careful in here, guys. This is 47 down to 46.30. Again, just be very, very careful with this today. All right, with that said, guys, we got a pretty interesting list. HGEN is on here. I like the pop we got this morning. CAN, but you got plenty of Bitcoin plays you can look at. I have Boeing here as well. Day looks great. Viacom, of course, that's very active this morning. Can't wait to see how that's going to trade at the open. We have Baidu and we have Apple. Apple's our tech type play. I mean, it's not really active, guys. It's not really in play. The volume is light. I might replace this with something else from our moderators list. Brian has TME, BA, CAN, DLPN so far. Norm, on your list, do you have anything else that's not included in this list here?
Nothing that people haven't already pointed out now.
Gotcha. Cool. All right, excellent, guys. On YouTube, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Make sure you sign up tonight if you have not checked out our website and our community. Tonight we're having our onboarding class at 8 p.m. Eastern time, followed by our tech class by Kyle at 9 p.m. So sign up. You get access to both of those this evening. We can chat a little bit about our community and what are some of the things that you can expect if you join our community. So take care, guys. Trade safe, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one, everybody.
Yeah, take care, guys. Trade safe.